Hello and welcome viewers, I am Pia and you are watching Newsx. Donald Trump had earlier announced a 25% tariff on goods exported from India to the United States of America, as well as a penalty. Meanwhile, now the Indian government has responded, stating that it is studying the implications of the move and will take all steps necessary to secure our national interest. In a measured statement, the Ministry of Commerce and Industry has stated that it has taken note of the announcement by the US President and has stressed that India remains committed to negotiating a fair bilateral trade agreement with the United States. It also noted that negotiations regarding the trade deal have been going on for months, and India is looking at protecting the interest of the farmers, the entrepreneurs, as well as its MSMEs. The US, of course, has been pitching for higher tariffs by the 1st of August. That was the deadline set by US President Donald Trump. Meanwhile, Trump, in his remarks, has also in fact noted that India is buying weapons from Russia and oil from Iran, alongside it being a member of the BRICS grouping. Trump claims that all of these are anti-US actions fueling his tariff onslaught. Joining us on the broadcast is Dr. Sharad Kohli, senior economist. Sir, good morning and thank you so much for speaking to Newsx. First up, I'd like to ask you, how exactly will these tariffs impact India? What sectors do you think would be most affected?
Good morning, Ria, and good morning to the viewers of Newsx. I think if we talk of sectors first, we are looking at electronic sector, which is one of the biggest exporters at this point of time. We are also looking at, electrical machinery. We are looking at mechanical machinery. We are looking at leather. We are looking at footwear. We are looking at textiles. We are looking at pharmaceuticals. These are some of the main sectors which would be impacted. However, I do feel that the impact may not be long lasting for two reasons. One, US is not the end of the world. It has taken an arbitrary decision, and we all know the decision is not in the interest of supply chains, not in the interest of the country. We all know that. So I feel, and also knowing that President Trump is known for backtracking. He takes decisions, then he backtracks, he rethinks, he puts a second thought to it, he gives a new deadline, and so on and so forth. And third reason is that there is already a India-US bilateral trade agreement, FTA, being already under discussion for a long time, which is likely to be taken up later in the August. So when that happens, so we should not take this as a permanent scar on India's economy or something. If we want to study the immediate impact, yes, there is going to be a knee-jerk reaction. The exporters would be worried because there are a lot of export orders in hand, and Indian goods are going to become less competitive as far as the US markets are concerned. We have exports of about $85 billion, Ria, and we are importing about $44 billion. We've got a sizable trade surplus. I think this was one of the bone of contention that the US president feels that there's a lot of trade surplus that India has. And if we go to the Russian aspect, well, that is more concerning for me, because he is threatening now secondary tariff, which he's named it as penalty. He says he's going to levy those penalties simply because we are part of BRICS and we are dealing with Russia. We are importing defense and we are importing oil from that. I think that is totally unfair as far as I feel. And this cannot be the case, because sovereignty of each country, one-to-one dealing between the two countries, is the prerogative of the two countries. No third country has got a right to dominate and dictate in the way we deal with another country. If Russia is supplying oil to us at lesser than market price, I think everybody's got that fair right to go and buy. Same goes for defense equipment. So I think President Trump will have to understand this sooner than later and make sure that it's a fair deal for the rest of the world. He's going to disturb his own economy. He's going to disturb the global supply chain as well, Ria.
Indeed, sir, a quick follow-up to that. You've mentioned about the global supply chains as well as the pharma industry. We do know how dependent the US pharma industry is upon cheaply manufactured goods here that we end up exporting to them. So how do you think will these tariffs affect the American consumer? Will these eventually backfire against Trump in the long term?
Oh, yes, for the layman who do not know how tariffs are levied, basically when the goods land in America, you levy, it's basically custom duty. In India, we call it custom duty or import duty. So obviously, you're going to make them more expensive for America. See, America has two options. Either it starts producing all this stuff within its country, and I think that era US has left decades ago. US is no more a manufacturing hub, except for a few things. It's not a manufacturing hub like China or like what India is becoming now. So I think the US consumers should be prepared to pay more prices. For example, leather, textile, footwear, iPhones. You don't want an iPhone which costs you $1,400 to be costing you $3,500 if it is manufactured locally. And it has still not finalized the deal with China. So what is US going to do? It doesn't want to import from India or import at 25% tariff and wants to impose a penalty as well. Doesn't want to import from China because there's a structural difference. There is a problem with NVIDIA chips being exported to China, and there's so many issues. So where are the American consumers finally going to buy the goods from? They will have to buy the goods which are imported. And those goods are going to be expensive. So if those goods are expensive, Ria, to answer your question, there's going to be inflation. You know what happened last night? Fed chairperson Jerome Powell, by a ratio of 9:2, Fed FOMC is called in America. They have voted against reduction of rates. Although the American inflation right now is at 3%. But they have a fear that these tariffs are going to bring inflation to America. So Fed has categorically expressed inflation fear. I don't know why President Trump is not able to understand. Although he gets into an altercation with Jerome Powell, the chairman, he calls him by all sorts of names. But the fact of the matter is that tariffs are going to fuel inflation. Unless American publics either stop consuming those goods, which is not possible, or America starts manufacturing those goods domestically, which is also not possible because cost of manufacturing in America is phenomenally high. We had done a survey some time ago. 1 acre of land in America costs you about 2 crores on an average across the American land. And one hour of skilled labor in America costs you $40. So how can America start manufacturing? It's going to be 3 times, 4 times more expensive than what America is importing. So I think President Trump will have to think more pragmatically, more prudently, and more rationally. That's what we do. It's very easy to give a letter saying that we are going to levy these tariffs. But when these goods start landing there, I think the reality is going to sink into him, Ria.
Absolutely, sir. Quick follow-up to that as well. I'd like to touch upon the markets. Today, both the Sensex and the Nifty have opened in the red. They're down 0.81% respectively, both of them. So, do you think this is a knee-jerk reaction or is this an indication of what's to come?
Reaction, without a doubt, because the market do react to what is happening, because especially the companies that deal in textiles, leather, footwear, machinery, electronic equipments, or pharmaceuticals, they are bound to react because there is a 25% tariff levy. But I think this is temporary. Markets also forget very quickly. And I'm sure there's going to be a solution found. The Indian government is also studying the ramifications and the repercussions of this levy. India has got 2-3 options. India levies reciprocal tariffs on America. Well, I think America will probably learn a lesson that we can also do the same. Or the Indian government is probably get into a more intense negotiation with the US authorities. And I'm 100% sure, I'm very optimistic. I mean, obviously, I don't appreciate what has happened, but I'm optimistic that the end result will be in India's favor, because India today is the world's fastest growing economy. The US cannot afford to spoil relations with India, considering strategic geographic position of India in Asia. We are the second largest Asian giant now after China. We have left Japan behind. America cannot afford to have, it's not going very well with China anyway. So it cannot afford two, adversaries in the same land in Asia, which I'm sure is going to get well. So Indian markets are reacting, but you can expect them to bounce back in a day or two once the market starts looking for a solution and the country as a whole starts looking through a solution as well. Yeah.
All right, so stay on with us. The United States has also imposed sanctions on at least 6 Indian companies for allegedly trading in Iranian petroleum and petrochemical products. This move is a part of a broader crackdown involving 20 companies across the globe, including those in Turkey and Indonesia. This has been announced by the US Department of State. They claim that this is violating American restriction on Iranian oil trade. The US claims that the sanctioned Indian firms were knowingly involved in significant transactions despite being aware of the US's restriction, and amongst those penalized are some of India's leading petrochemical traders. The company facing the largest allegation is Alchemical Solutions Private Limited, that is accused of importing over $84 million worth of Iranian petrochemicals between January and December 2024. This, of course, comes after Trump's 25% tariff threats. Dr. Kohli is still with us on the broadcast. Sir, how do you view this move, and how will this impact India's energy security? Because earlier Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri has emphasized that India has diversified its energy procurements.
This move because India has got all the right in the world to deal with the nation, as I said, with whichever it wants to. No third country has got a right to restrict us. If America wants to import sanctions, let it go ahead. I mean, we should not forget that we also get credit from Iran. And we don't need to pay in US dollars because of the dollar sanctions on Iran. We get to pay in Indian rupee and other currencies. So I think India has got a right, although our total oil dependence from Iran has now reduced considerably. Almost 1/3 of our oil is coming from Russia. America has got a problem with that as well. We all know about yesterday's tweet, yesterday's truth social message, which he said. It's got, so America has got a problem in our dealing with Iran. It's got a problem with our dealing with Russia. I totally disregard that. I condemn that. I don't think, America should be doing that to any country. They should respect India's sovereignty, and they should respect that India has a right to deal one-on-one with any country. And I'm sure America is going to, this reality is going to sink into America, that it cannot isolate itself. What America wants, Ria, it wants that American goods being exported to other countries should land at 100% free tariff, that is zero tariff. And it wants that goods coming from other countries, for example, Indonesia, it levied 19% tariff on Indonesia. Now, all goods going from America to Indonesia are going to go 100% free, whereas goods coming from Indonesia to America is going to be 90%. So I feel this is a very lopsided, unfair deal. And a very important point, Ria, here. He's worried about the trade surplus which India has with America, or the trade deficit which he has with America. You know, this trade has evolved after decades of relationship. It is based on demand supply. It is based on what I manufacture at a lesser price. It is based on what kind of climate I have in my country. I think trade evolution is a natural process. You cannot force trade on somebody, because ultimately the trade will be based on what I need and what I do not need, what your country needs and what your country does not need, what I give you at a best price, what you do not give me at a best price. So I think President Trump is completely disregarding all these aspects, the basics of trade and economics. I think they have to be kept in mind. It is easy to make a declaration, but when it goes into reality and it starts disrupting supply chains, I'm sure the American people, the Republicans, he's got some dissent voices within the Republican Party as well. He's going to realize, I'm very hopeful, just a matter of time, just wait and see. It could be a few weeks from now, where before you see that President Trump is going to backtrack and reconsider, rethink, put a second thought, whatever he's used to doing over all these weeks that we have seen.